Welcome to Heads Together. And hello, Jennifer Wilner.
Hello, Bonnie. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
I am so happy we're on the other side of last week. Man, what a weekend it was. Want to welcome everybody into the show today. Hopefully, there are some people who maybe checked out the TEDx event that happened over the weekend through Rutgers Camden. Of course, I'm not assuming everybody saw it. So I'm going to ask Jen, if you can put the link into the chat. So if we're going to talk some today about what happened this past weekend. Certainly my first time speaking at TEDx, and it was through Rutgers Camden. So Jen, what was your experience like?
What's my experience? Wow. So it was empowering. I was loving the speakers. There
were 12. There were 12 speakers total for those who didn't see it.
Yeah. So there were 12 speakers. You got me with, I'm going to be fully transparent that I got emotional during your presentation. Hey, Claudia.
Hi, Claudia.
When you said specifically about managers being there for their team. And, you know, even if that means showing up at their father's funeral, because you did show up at my father's funeral. And I remember melting, feeling like I was just dropping when you walked in the room and going like, there's that person I can lean on.
Yeah, well, you know, that was the section about respect. And of course, I was thinking about you as I was writing it. And that, for those of you who saw it, that script for the take that we ended up using, which came in at 14 minutes, was version 13. It was, and I sent you the video before, but what did you choose to do?
Oh, right. And so I didn't watch it. I chose to watch it live with everybody else because I wanted to be surprised.
Yeah. So
I'm glad
that was the case with a lot of people. I've attended two TEDx events in person here in Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm so glad I have attended them in person because this was, you know, very interesting and different because it was a virtual event, not, you know, you don't get dressed and go to a theater. That was how it was supposed to be. But instead, it was a virtual event on YouTube. And so it was a little surreal. Megan saying lucky 13, version 13. That's so funny. Hi, Brooke. Welcome to everybody. Jen, if you could just show a few pictures I wanted to share with everybody, just a bit of my experience behind the scenes. This is our house here in Florida, and Vicki Evans, it wasn't a surprise. She told me for weeks, as soon as she knew that I was doing a TEDx talk, she was like, I'm coming wherever you are. Like if we had done it live, we all had plane tickets for New Jersey because it was supposed to happen in Camden, New Jersey, which is why I referenced Camden, New Jersey in the speech. But instead, Vicki got on an airplane from Austin, Texas, and flew to Florida. And I'm so grateful. And she came totally prepared with balloons and flowers and champagne. And it was very festive. And of course, there's Robert Sanders, my partner there. And here we were just having a ball. You know, we're really close friends and colleagues. And it was just delightful having 4 days to reconnect and kind of revel in what this was going to be, because the show streamed on Saturday starting at noon Eastern time. And so we were building up and getting food and, you know, just having a few people over. It still doesn't feel totally right to have like massive groups of people. And then I have to admit, there's one picture that just grabs me. It's now my Facebook cover photo. Go to it, Jen. This is a picture of from New Jersey, my son and my granddaughter watching the TEDx event. I mean, oh my goodness.
Just go big. Oh,
I'm so grateful to my daughter-in-law, Lindsay, for shooting this photograph as they were watching. It was very, very special. And as any grandmother in the audience will attest, it's, and yeah, it's just very special. If ever I'm having a bad day, I'm going to look at that picture. Okay, Jen, you can take that off now.
Yeah.
But I'm so interested in Claudia, your feedback, and everyone who's here, your takeaways. What were your impressions? Were you surprised by anything, either by my talk or from the event itself, the other speakers? There were some great speakers there. It was thematic. All the TEDx events have themes. The theme was brand new ending. And so I chose to talk about the real reasons people quit, as in their job.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that it was very important to say the things that aren't generally said in the workplace about the toxic environments that assistants are sitting in every day, and staff in general are sitting in, that are not okay, that are chasing people away. Well, Claudia, thank you. I'm happy you found it inspiring. I hope you found the whole event inspiring, and hopefully it inspired people to want to dig in more on the TED website and find other interesting talks. I know, my point of view on what I did, those 14 minutes of talking about the real reasons why people quit, I feel like the whole issue is way bigger than me. The subject is a topic, it's a conversation that needs to happen globally. And it's been interesting on social media, if you've been on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, that the feedback is there are some interesting themes or threads that are going through. And one is that globally, assistants say that, yes, these are the issues. This is going to the heart of the matter about bullying and sexual harassment and compensation, issues of respect and disrespect, and the whole issue about professional development and training. These are really hot buttons that are being brought up. So, my hope is that leaders and HR directors and recruiters can talk to one another about it and talk to me. I'm inviting leaders to have a webinar about this topic, so that maybe we can make some moves to solving what's broken. Welcome any of your comments, your questions, your feedback about the event. I could have applied to 2 other TEDx events, but boy, oh boy, are they time intensive. So there was a speaker there, the very last speaker. This was her 4th TEDx event this year.
Wow.
And in my head, I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot. Right.
That's
I know.
A lot of work.
You didn't make it to the end, but
yeah.
I mean, she admitted it was a little crazy too. Yeah. So I'm so happy I did it. And now it's being shared by dozens of people so far, and we'll see. Let me just say this out loud, that for anyone who's listening to this right now or on the replay, is that I'm interested in being a part of a conversation between leaders, staff, HR and recruiters, any combination therein, because it's not going, these issues that face us in the workplace are not going to be solved by any one group. Definitely not. So we'd better find a way in to talk with each other is what I'm thinking. So, yeah, the presentation that came, was it right after me about artificial intelligence, or was that right before me?
Right before you.
Right
before the
me.
performer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Jen put the link in the chat for the whole event, which went like 3.5 hours, I think. But Jen is putting it where you queue up to mine, which is at an hour and 25 minutes in or so. So it's pretty easy to find. The other speakers, though, were terrific. And there was the one right before me was about artificial intelligence and the whole notion about diversity in artificial intelligence, how, actors are, white actors are playing non-white characters in artificial intelligence. And, it's about who's profiting from artificial intelligence and issues of inclusion and fairness. It was really, Claudia's mentioning that Angeline was wonderful too, about ableism, about disability in the workplace. Claudia, it would be so interested in some of your big takeaways, if there were any that you had. So it's done. It's history. And now we're moving on. Here we are in mid-February. And looks like mask mandates are lifting in some areas. And there's just a lot of different decisions that are being made by different companies. I was speaking with an assistant yesterday from California, and her company, it's indefinitely they're working from home. Joni, hi Joni, welcome. You really like Dr. Purnell. Yeah, he was terrific. And it was so interesting how many doctors there were on the speaker list. I hadn't realized that. And I was like, I feel like I'm in the minority not being a doctor. But yeah, Joni, very interested in any big takeaways you had from the event. So So where else? We have Valentine's Day coming up next week.
Yay.
And it's, my goodness, the year is already going so fast. One of the things Jen and I worked on today is I had written an article for Executive Secretary Magazine called You've Got Them, Who's Got You? Meaning backup. Who is your backup in work and in life, really? So we just published it to the blog, and it's on social media. It's on LinkedIn. I wrote it for Executive Support Magazine for Lucy Brazier. And it talks about a really important issue, which is in this remote virtual environment, it's so hard to have boundaries. And so we're seeing a lot of burnout. So the article is about backup. And do you have backup? And is it adequate? And should we be taking a fresh look at backup to create something new for this workplace that's being formed right now? So feel free to share in the chat if, in fact, do you have backup when you take a vacation, and you hopefully are taking a vacation at some point? Do you have backup? Like, you don't have backup, right, Jen?
I had backup to the cloud, but I do have people on my team that do some of the work in advance.
Yeah.
But I don't have a body who does my work. No.
Yeah. So many, I mean, you've got your own virtual business. The issue is we only have 24 hours every day.
Exactly.
We are humans. We need to rest. We need to re-energize. And what we're seeing is that these last 2 years have taken quite a toll on people, physically,
Absolutely.
emotionally, mentally. And I think we better pay attention. And a LinkedIn user is saying, nope, you don't have backup. I know. Joni's, the TEDx event was an eye-opener. I know I'm not alone anymore. I love that there's
Definitely
a crusade
not.
for change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thanks, Joni. There is comfort, isn't there, in knowing that we're not alone in any of this. I am the backup.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that only works for a little while. It's not sustainable. Historically, and I've been teaching this stuff for many, many years. And I was a one-person office. So I certainly know what it feels like to, not have a lifeline, like phone a friend. Who are you going to call? There's nobody to call. Jessica is saying she's got no backup here. I try to document. I know, Jessica. See, here's the thing. There's that. So I sometimes call it the hit by the bus theory. Some other students of mine have said, Bonnie, why don't we call it, hit the lottery? If you hit the lottery, what happens if you can't be there? We try to document. There's so many CEOs' offices that are functioning with only one person in there, and that is so hard. EA equals backup operations, backup HR. Yes, right.
Yeah.
So, and it's laughable, and it also could make a person cry. Jessica.
Absolutely.
And I bet you, we haven't talked about this, but I'll bet you there have been some crying moments or times when you just want to pull out your hair. That's the thing. Assistants are the backup for all those people who you talked about, because assistants know so much. You're generalists in that, and you've made it your business to understand enough so that you can keep things going. It's like you've got all these plates up in the air, but who's got you? And that's in 2022. This is absolutely going to be one of my big mantras, is that we have to do this better. We're burning people out. We're chasing people away. And here's the thing. No one is going to create these backup systems for us. Leaders just depend on the work getting done. They don't really care how. They just want it done. And HR is in chaos right now. They don't have any time to create a backup plan for you. So it becomes up to the assistants to create a system for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's, you're some of the most organized people on the planet. Of course, you're capable of doing that. It's about making it a priority, making yourselves a priority, so that when you take a vacation, you actually can unplug. Wouldn't that be great? Who cares for the caretaker? Exactly, Brooke. Exactly. The time has come, hasn't it? It's a new day. There's lots of turmoil in this workplace. There's so much change going on. Why not this too? Why can't we honestly say that we're backing up, you back up your executive, you back up other people when they go away. Who's doing it for you? In the process of writing the TEDx speech, in the process of writing this second book that I'm writing that's coming out in the fall of 2022, I'm becoming aware, even more aware, of places in the workplace that simply aren't right, like this backup issue. The backup issue is huge. And we need to raise our hands and say, this is a problem, if in fact it is in your organization. The other place that's an issue is about bonuses or rules or structures that are in place for managers and middle managers, but there's a whole set of other rules for the assistants of the world. Not okay. And that's why in the TEDx talk I said, staff knows when things aren't fair. And these are the kinds of things I was talking about.
Yeah. Bonnie, I want to show this comment. I have to show
Please.
this comment from Claire.
Take my laptop on vacation with me and usually log in at night or when I can during vacation. Claire, thank you for sharing so honestly. I can tell you that is what you do is what so many assistants do around the world. And I'm a realist. I know that it's probably as important as you all are to the organization and to your leaders, it's probably unrealistic to think that you could go on vacation and not check at all. I do know a handful of assistants who say, yes, I go and I don't have to check a thing.
Wow.
I know that's not reasonable for most assistants, but wouldn't it be great to cut that back like by a lot because you actually have someone who's covering for you? In the article I wrote for Executive Support Magazine, I mean, I remember having to pay such a heavy price with work before I went away. And then I had to do work while I was away. And then when I came back from vacation or wherever I was, and God forbid it was a whole week, because, the more days you're gone, the more of an avalanche that's waiting for you when you get back.
Mm-hmm.
That's not okay.
No.
Jen, do you have a comment about that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was after my booster, I was down for, I don't know, felt like a week. I'm still kind of not sure how long that was, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And I mean, I see we have the assistants who work in large companies where they might be able to ask someone else to take on a part of their work. I'm also really curious about the ones that work for small business owners, where they're the executive, they might be the only person in the office. And how do they do it? How do they handle it? I mean, I have 2 companies. So that my other company, I have four people that back me up and they take care of their own groups. But with this company, with how I work with you, it's me and then my team that does very specific things, but they don't communicate with you or clients.
Well, there are temporary workers. And what I know for sure is that leaders aren't paying attention to this issue. Mm-hmm. HR is absolutely not paying attention to this issue, and HR doesn't even exist. You are HR in your small company, right?
Exactly.
And therefore, assistants need to address this issue. And as human beings, it just isn't sustainable to go for months, years on end. How many assistants do we know who haven't taken a vacation in 3 years? Or if they do, they're working the whole time. It's not okay. And it really is about making it a priority and saying, this is the moment we need to address this and come up with a plan. In the article, I talk about the assistant I interviewed whose executive believes that his material, his work is so confidential, he doesn't trust anybody else but her.
Wow.
I mean, that's not sustainable. God forbid if something happened to her, what does that mean for the work? Where are the files? Where are the folders? Are things going to fall apart if a key person isn't there? And in the world of COVID, the likelihood of that potentially happening has gotten even higher.
Absolutely.
Life happens. So I think this is a really important issue as we move forward into 2022. And, maybe in the spirit of Valentine's Day and about loving others, but loving yourself enough to say, I want to take a fresh look at my 24 hours every day and what my year looks like that's ahead. And what am I doing to protect myself? What am I doing to protect my energy, my physical health, my mental health, like that. So I hope you will check out the article. Joni is saying, oh gosh.
Joni worked 5 months without a day off doing my job, that of housekeeper and other PA. COVID, no vacation in 3 years. I hope you're working on that, Joni.
Joni. You know, none of us knows what tomorrow is going to bring. We don't know if that's it. We're done. Like, none of us knows what our expiration date is, not to be morbid or anything. So I've shared with this group before that my mantra for 2022 is, if not now, when? And part of that means working out with a trainer and making myself a priority, making the family a priority, and like it recalibrating how those precious 24 hours a day are being used. And Joni happens to be in private service, which is different than the corporate environment when you're working in someone's private home, where the boundaries are even more blurry than they are in the corporate structure. All that is to say that we in that space need to be more intentional about how we structure that time and how we communicate with our principals and our leaders and our colleagues about what we're going to do. We have a colleague, Anthony Barlow. Anthony was our guest a couple of weeks ago. He's an estate manager, and we all saw how into physical fitness he is. He makes it a given, like, that working out and his physical well-being is an absolute deal breaker. And honestly, what I have seen is that leaders are so eager to stabilize their teams that they are open to hearing, what is it that you need in order to make this work? So, Joni, 2022 hopefully is the year that you get that balance, and I want to help you. I want to help you do it. So, as we wind down for today, I'm really delighted you were here. I found this great quote, and Jen, if you could put up the scroll in case our viewers want to come to B2A On Demand, come to my website. I would love to speak with your leadership team about these issues around why are people quitting, how do we stop it, etc. This quote is about people who have attained any level of success, whether you're in support staff, whether you're a manager. And it's by Barry Lawson Williams. And it says, "You've done well, but don't forget to send the elevator back down."
Great. I like that.
You've done well, but don't forget to send the elevator back down. Got to do it, folks. We have to do it for one another. This workplace is so complicated that we need to send the elevator back down, because when people come back up, they have skills and talents that we don't have.
So we have to help them rise up. Yep.
Well, we're really happy you were here. Thank you for being here for Heads Together. Jen, thank you so much for all of your support as she was covering me from New Jersey during TEDx and watching the chat and all of that. We'll be back next week, Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, with another show for you as we check out what's going on in the world, the burning issues with our community. Be sure to send any feedback to us, Bonnie@BonnieLow-Kramen.com, and we will see you next week. Thanks, Jen. Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Bonnie. Take care, everybody.